Once you've started a new file in Encompass, your first form is going to be the disclosure long form. Disclosure long form is a one-stop shop for as much of the information that's needed to get to the point of disclosure. So there'll be some changes in terms of your layout, but you're not going to see differences from the data that you're entering. Similar to today, fields will be highlighted blue when they are required. You can also find your required fields by clicking on the qualification milestone, and it'll list any of the required fields in the bottom left-hand corner. Going back to the disclosure long form, you'll have a few different areas that you haven't used in the past. How to send an e-consent. It's a pop-up that will give you instructions on sending an e-consent. Once you've sent an e-consent, you'll acknowledge if you've sent it. If the borrower does not want to e-sign or e-disclose or have anything to do with the online portal, check that box. Otherwise, you can say if it's a print or an e-disclose. Moving down, all these fields should seem familiar to you. They're just in one place now for entry. You'll run your credit, import your liabilities. Everything can be lived here. So one difference today is a lockdown for inadvertently triggering disclosures, or your 3-day rule, or your RESPA 6, however you want to interpret it. What the system's going to do is lock the address on a purchase or the estimated value on a refi. Once you're ready to input those values, you'll check this box and it'll unlock those values for you. So they'll be grayed out until you're ready to input them. You're not restricted to when you can input them. You're just restricted to check this box prior to. If you have to run AUS and it's a TBD file, you'll just check this button and it'll insert the TBD for you without having to unlock the field. If you know upfront what the types of transcripts you will need, if you're only doing like a W-2 borrower and you're only pulling W-2 transcripts, you could indicate that here. And also, if you have your 1040s already and there's a different address, you could indicate that here. Everything else is going to be very familiar to you. Fields-wise, we just relocated things. So you have your employment here. You could even access your page 2 of the 1003. You can access your REO and declarations right from here. So some of these are required fields, so you will have to access them. You just don't have to go to the individual forms anymore. You can work right from here and pop them up. Be cognizant of little notes that we put in different locations as you're working through the file to give little hints and tricks of how to move forward and avoid any issues later on. So you have a button here for conventional MI, how to get to it, how to quote it, help document, and then you can also pop up your mortgage insurance setup there. And then as you move further down, you have continuing to have different fields. So if you're applying templates to the loans, a little different than you're doing today is when you start a file, it doesn't have a loan program template. So you could come and select that template here, right? So it's not putting in your specific product, you'll be doing that there. So specific product and your closing costs, you'll be selecting there, entering your dates, getting your late fee. Similar, if you're disclosing today, you're going to know exactly what fields they are. If it's something that somebody else is handling for you, they could also access it in the same place. Another change that we made was a navigation panel. This navigation panel gives you quick access to other parts of the loan file. So if you're going to be running Smart GFE, it'll pop up your Smart Fees or Smart GFE, whatever you want to call it. It'll pop up your instructions on how to do so. If you need to get to the itemization, you click the button, it'll pop you over to the itemization. Not every one of these links is able to pop up. It might bring you to that link, and then if that's the case, you'll navigate back to your disclosure long form. So, housing counselors, for example, it will pop you to the housing counselors for you to do your data entry here, but then bounce back to your long form to continue working. Okay, so you're going through your list. as you would. Another difference is your service provider list. We're going to be picking templates now, so you'll just say apply template and grab your template that applies. So if it's just a normal loan, you have your template and you're all set. You don't have to worry about your fees anymore. Again, bounce back to the long form. Scrolling down, you have a couple other, depending on loan type, you might have your VA MIP chart that you have to pop up and just take a look at. You have your FHA management screen. This blank will eventually be a troubleshooting document, which we encourage people to let us know if they're having any issues with the new forms, and we'll be posting up troubleshooting there in the future. So it's just a placeholder for right now. Lastly, you have a disclosure submission. So when you click on this, it's going to pop this box up. As long as you're ready to disclose and you're sending it over to your manager or disclosure desk for review, just put your instructions in and click submit. Just so it'll tag it, put name and date and time. You can put your delivery method. If you filled it out up top, it'll transfer down here and just close. Once you save the file, it'll send a request to the desk automatically for you, no need to email. One other item that is more loan specific, if there is a change in the type of loan file, so VA, for example, you will have your VA required fields and initial input pop up right on your disclosure long form. So it'll actually change the form slightly and input that. Input those data points for you. Okay. So that's the disclosure long form. If you have any other questions, concerns, feel free to give us a shout via email. And again, any troubleshooting or areas that you feel we can improve, please send them over also so we can update our documentation and version the form at a later date.